My name is Thomas Wooden. I'm a physiotherapist and personal trainer, and I wanted to come on and actually talk about how I became a physio for anyone that wants to be a physio, wants to be a personal trainer. But also, I think the story that I have developed, the story that I've been a part of, is quite powerful for everyone's health. I believe that creating this content, the goal of this content is to create a space where there's free information for healthcare advice to help you be proactive, not reactive to your health. I don't want people just going to see their healthcare provider because something's happened, because they've got ill, because they've got injured. I want people to go and see a personal trainer, go and see a physio before they get this injury, to be proactive, to build up the strength and reduce their chance of ever even getting that problem. And I know this is an issue because as a species, human beings are reactive. We don't necessarily fix something unless something's broken, and I can't blame anyone for that. Like, I'm not going to go to the doctor if let's say I've got a cold, I will go to the doctor. I've got an illness, but I'm not going to go to the doctor if I don't have an illness. So it's quite hard to find that balance. But anyway, getting to the point, I want to be proactive, and that was something I was not. It started off when I was probably around 17 years old. I was just starting my sixth form in the UK, so higher education, kind of just before uni, and I just started in the gym. I wasn't doing anything specific. I didn't have any guidance in the gym. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just went there and I trained legs, and at the same time I was playing basketball. So in the UK we have something called the NBL, or the National Basketball League. It's kind of like, you have like, it's up there, it's good, it's high level basketball. I was playing quite well, and so I was training once or twice a week, and at the same time I was going to the gym. I had no passion outside of basketball, nothing to tell me I wanted to be a PT, nothing to tell me I wanted to be a physio. Until the final game, my final ever basketball game, I went to the gym in the morning. I had no guidance. I trained legs. I then went to basketball. We had a game and I played for the entire game. My coach didn't take me off. I was playing well. And in the final couple of minutes, literally there was like 4 minutes left of the game, I tore my calf. Really bad tear. I had to go to physio for it. You'll see this video here. So I went in, I came along the baseline at the bottom of the court. I jumped, and that was it. I never played basketball at a high level again, which was horrible because that was my whole life. I wanted to be a basketballer. But from there, I went to physio. It was my first ever physio appointment. I'd had injuries in the past, but I'd never had physio. But I went to physio and I enjoyed it. It was quite cool. It was good to get into the gym and get some guidance. And I thought, you know what? I need to pick something. I didn't know what I wanted to do at university. I need to pick something. Let me just pick physio. I'll just do that and problem solved. I'll do physio. But this was a bit of a problem because when you go into physio, you do something called clinical rotations. And your clinical rotations, basically you go from the classroom into the hospital. So I had all this knowledge that I'd gained from my lectures, and now was the time that I had to actually put it into practice. So I'd go into the hospitals, and I started off with children, so pediatrics. I then did surgery, and I worked on the cardiac surgery ward. It was cool, but then wasn't really for me. I then went to the intensive care unit, did a rotation there. And it wasn't until my fourth rotation when I went into the community. And with this, I went to care homes, I went to people's homes, I went into people's homes, and I saw people that were struggling, they were injured, and they were so unwell, they physically couldn't get themselves to a hospital to get an appointment. And this was really impactful to me because a lot of these people were struggling because they were older, they had broken bones, they maybe had cardiovascular disease, different diseases and conditions. And what stood out to me was the fact that these individuals, a lot of them were in this situation because of lifestyle factors that they could have changed. For example, 90% of the individuals with broken bones, maybe not 90, but the majority of the individuals that I treated with broken bones were women. you know, for most people, it's just bad luck. But to me, I was aware from my knowledge that when a woman hits menopause, her bone density will go down. And unless that individual exercises, it's going to get worse. You're going to have a risk of breaking. And that's what I noticed. There was more women. So that made me think, what if these individuals were proactive and they did exercise first? Would they still have had these broken bones? So from that, I decided, why don't I go down the proactive route? Why don't I do something more? So I did a strength and conditioning qualification. I did a personal training qualification. And this just blew my mind. It was so enjoyable to me, but also so conflicting, because the majority of people that want a PT, that want a personal trainer, just want to gain some muscle and lose some fat. And that's great, but it didn't resonate with what I wanted to do long term. So I thought, why don't I put the two together? I wanted to be a physio, I wanted to make people feel better, but I didn't enjoy the reactive nature of physiotherapy. I didn't enjoy the fact that it was always after the problem that we solved the problem. So that's kind of how I got into it. I thought physio is great. I enjoy the principles. Personal training is great as well. I don't enjoy the principles because a lot of it is just losing fat, but I wanted to combine the two. That's how I got into this kind of niche, or this specialism, or this area of building bodies that last, building, you know, training for life, getting people stronger for a long period of time. And yeah, that's how I got into it. And now my mission is solely to not just help people lose fat, not just help people gain muscle, but help people increase their bone density, help people improve their tendon health, their muscle health, their cardiac health. All of that combined is my mission, and hopefully I can use that for good, and I can use that to help individuals have a better quality of life, because at the end of the day, there's no point looking great if you don't live very long. That's what I've always thought. You can lose fat, you can gain muscle, but if you don't get to see your grandchildren, or you spend your life in a care home, what was the point? You know, and I think that's really powerful. So that's kind of how I got into this. It's a little bit of my story. I went from injury to physio to thinking, how can I make this better? And yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do. And if that's something that you resonate with, I would really appreciate if you either comment, you tell me your story about how you got into physio, or how potentially you got injured or you got ill and what you did about it, how you've changed your life. So comment, follow along, and I'm going to be putting out content just to help people. That's what I want to do. So let me know. Put it down below, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens from this.